Welcome to the Queer Love Podcast, the silly and serious shenanigans of two queer relationship coaches. I am your host, Elizabeth Cunningham.
And I'm your host, Lee Greeps.
On this podcast, we talk about how to live your best queer life with fulfilling, healthy relationships and anything else that makes your little queer heart happy. Because living your life outside of the heteronormative scripts is totally possible for you.
Each episode, we explore all things queer love from our professional perspective as relationship coaches, our own personal experiences, and as partners.
If you love our show, follow us on TikTok, Instagram, or Twitter at Queer Love Relationships. You can also check out our website, www.queerloverelationships.com.
Thanks for following us and enjoy this episode. If you identify as queer, you understand, it's like, oh yeah, this is conversation. And this is also one of those things that I see for new queers, newly awakened queers. That is kind of shocking, of having those kinds of conversations.
All right. Welcome to the Queer Love Podcast.
Woo! My world doesn't change.
We're so glad to have you here today. What are we talking about today?
We are talking about life as an AFAB couple, what you consider, what you need to be mindful of.
I love the confidence in this.
Things related to said topic.
What does it mean? What does AFAB mean?
Yeah, that was the next one. AFAB, all the queers are like, we know.
Yeah.
Assigned female at birth.
Mm-hmm.
So what we are, since we were both assigned female at birth, we came out the womb, and then they're like, looked at the bits, and they're like, all right, it's a girl. And that's what happened. Yep. And then we were assigned female.
Yep. They were like, this one's a girl. They get the she, her pronoun.
Yeah.
Get the pink.
I didn't get the pink. My mom knew. My mom knew for both me and my sister. Who identifies as a woman. Both. My mom was like, nah, I knew y'all weren't about the frilly dresses or the pink. So that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There you go. So we're both AFAB, and just a little breakdown of gender. So there is sex, biological sex, what you're assigned at birth, and there's also more and more, there's not just male and female, but there's also intersex, and intersex can be a lot of different things, but the quickest way to explain it is ambiguous genitalia. But that can mean that just by looking, it's unclear whether it's a penis or a vulva. It can also be something where you do have a penis, but you also have a uterus and eggs. So it's not just ambiguous, but a combination rather. So there's lots of different biological phenomena that are non-binary. And then with gender, gender can be your oh my God, words. Gender, again, we're doing the quick and dirty of all of this.
We've talked about this on the podcast.
We have talked about this. So if you've never listened to that episode, we do have a whole episode that breaks down all of this stuff. But there's also gender is basically how you feel about your identity. So do you feel like you are a man or a woman, or non-binary or gender fluid, et cetera, et cetera. Lots of different gender terms, especially since we're learning more and more and more about people's gender identity. More terms come out, which is beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Or do you feel like trans, et cetera. And then gender expression is how you choose to present.
Mm-hmm.
And
Express your
express
gender
how you
identity.
express your gender identity. And so often people think about that with the binary of feminine to masculine and the arbitrary things that we call feminine and the very arbitrary things that we call masculine that change over time. Like for the example of high heels. High heels were originally designed by and for men. And now they're seen, and they were seen as very masculine, and now they're seen as feminine. So all of these things are completely arbitrary.
I don't see how it, yeah, I don't care how you see it.
Yeah.
I'm not wearing them.
Yeah. But those tend to be the ways in which we think about that or think about it androgynously, where it's like, oh, you can't really tell if it's feminine or masculine, so therefore it is androgynous. But again, the lines are very blurry. It is a spectrum, and it changes all the time. You can also just look at the 80s, like what was considered masculine versus feminine in the 80s versus what was masculine versus feminine in the 90s, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like it changes all the time. So yeah, so we're an AFAB couple, meaning that both of us were assigned female at birth, and we both present very, very differently. So I present, a little bit more like what is currently traditional, like feminine.
You fit the bill.
I fit the bill, I wear the makeup, I've got the long hair,
Wears high heels.
I do wear high heels on occasion. That is true about me. Skirts, dresses, like jewelry that's
crop
more
tops.
feminine. Crop tops. I love my crop tops.
Yeah, crop tops.
I friggin' love my crop tops.
You do.
And
Yeah,
my
jewelry.
high-waisted pants. Love my high-waisted pants. That's my uniform. Crop tops and high-waisted pants.
That's true.
That
is wrapped up.
Yeah.
Summed up. This is how she presents.
And
I do not wear crop tops.
Oh, and I also identify as a woman.
Yeah, no, there you go.
There you go.
No, I don't wear crop tops. I don't wear high heels. Good God, I would kill myself in them. Like I would break ankles, I'd fall downstairs. It would be bad. I present more in the what is seen as masculine, except that I am, don't have a penis. So then I am seen as more androgynous in that way. So yeah, I short hair, got the fade, got the
Your haircut looks so good.
Shortcut. I have my tattoos are also add more of a masculine element to me. I mean, there are very feminine types of tattoos for sure.
Yeah.
Mine are not that. Mine are not that, so that also adds in an element. I wear baggier clothes.
Button-ups.
Button-ups.
Currently wearing a plaid button-up.
Yeah, I fit and that's the lesbian stereotype with my flannel. But yeah, I like things baggier. I do tend to buy from the men's section of the clothing areas. I hardly ever. I mean, this flannel is a woman's flannel. Yeah, it's from Target.
Nice.
From many years ago. When they still made flannels that like in the women's section that worked. Because it's hard because you know what, I was assigned female, which means that's how my body, physiologically is in that. So it's like I don't have super broad shoulders. I have some hips to me. And so it's like, even though I like the, what is deemed the male style of clothing, it doesn't fit me that great because it's like I don't have broad shoulders and I have hips, so they're just straight kind of pants don't work for me, which is unfortunate. So yeah, like it's it's a little challenging to find clothes, but but yeah, I present much more masculine. I confuse people. They go, well,
Mm.
I heard your voice. You sound like you would be a woman, and you have boobs. Or I think you do. I don't know. Your clothes are so baggy. I don't know.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, but you kind of have some hip. I'm confused. But you
Mm.
look like a guy somewhat. So I confuse people. My gender is confusing people.
Yeah. You also give quote unquote straight women gay panic,
I
which
do.
is pretty amazing.
Because I confuse them. Because I have elements of what they're like, wait,
Yeah,
I
they
would
don't
be
even
they're
know.
like, I'm attracted to you, but I shouldn't be. Why am I
Yeah,
attracted to you in any capacity? Because you don't have a penis. And I'm like,
right.
no, I am
Lee
so glad I
Lee
don't have a
turns
penis.
women queer.
It's true.
Yeah,
Through
doing the Lord's work.
confusion. I zap their brains a little bit and then they're like, what is this? What is this experience? So yes, I present very differently.
Yeah. Well, but also like, and this is a podcast episode for another time, but I love this topic of like breaking down what you're attracted to outside of gender.
Hmm.
Like what actually has you be attracted to people regardless of their gender or not, right?
Hmm.
I love that topic. It's a great topic. But what do we need to be concerned about as an AFAB couple? Because, and I think like part of the interesting thing for me, especially since I'm very like straight passing, like if you just ran into me individually and I told you that I had a husband, like you wouldn't like question that. You wouldn't be like, oh, that's weird.
No,
Um,
you wouldn't.
yeah, you'd be like, oh yeah, okay. Yeah, for sure. You were kind of giving me gay vibes, but I mean, I can see that you have a husband. Yeah, for sure. I feel like that's like people now that I've come out, that's what people have been reflecting to me. People are like, oh, I mean, I totally believed you that you were like into guys, but like I kind of thought that you would just be more into girls, you know? And so I'm like, so I guess I have a gay vibe, but a straight look. I don't know.
Like it's the queers that can pick up on it, The straight men can't pick up on it.
I was gonna say, well, yeah, Alec is definitely because that was like one of the things that Alec said.
Mhm. Yeah.
But Alec is not. He's
I like his
Alec's a pretty queer straight dude.
yeah. Uh, different story.
Different story. Yeah, we love you, Alec. But yeah, you're right. That's true. A lot of people that have said that to me have been queer and or my mom.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
yeah, I mean, that makes
yeah,
sense.
but I feel like yeah, your mom kind of generally speaking, not everyone's mom,
Yeah, well.
but generally speaking, I feel like your mom like just knows
Mm,
things about you that like you don't. I feel like that's one of the burdens of being a mom is that like you know all this stuff about your kids and then you just have to watch them figure it out.
mm,
I love you, mom. Thank you. Um, and where was I going with that? Oh, anyway, yeah, like me being more like straight passing, I feel like the things that I deal with are a little bit more subtle than what Lee has to deal with,
mm,
right? On an individual basis. Where it's just like, people assume that I have a male partner. Like, even if I say partner, even if I don't include gender at
mm,
all, people will make assumptions like they'll say, like, oh, is he coming, or
mm.
something like that? Is he going to be here later? Or like, what does he do for work, right?
Yeah.
Um, and so like people making assumptions about me and stuff. But again, it's a lot more subtle, and there is a lot of privilege inside of that as well. Like if I don't feel safe disclosing that I'm queer, then I don't have to,
Mm-hmm.
right? So there is a privilege and a safety in that privilege
Mm-hmm.
as well. So like individually, I don't like out in the world, I don't necessarily have to worry about that. I think where that differs is like online, I'm really out about being queer, I'm
Mm-hmm.
out about being polyamorous, etc. And so that's where, but again, like I have to actively like say like, oh, I'm gay, or like this is my partner, or I have multiple partners, or I'm poly, or like I have to actively say that. Um, in order for people to like have whatever reaction they're going to have about that. And then like being having to be like prepared for whatever that reaction
Mm-hmm.
is, you know. I feel like I'm pretty lucky up until this point. I haven't gotten a lot of like hate online. I've had certain posts that have like gone semi-viral that have like gotten hateful comments and
Yeah.
stuff. But like for the most part, I really haven't had to deal with that. And also like when it's online, it doesn't bother me as much. Like it makes me sad. It makes me sad that it's because it just reminds me that like this is like kind of the state of the world that we're
Yeah.
in. And like it makes me sad that people choose to be mean. Like that just makes me so sad. That has always made me just like super sad. One of the reasons why I became a coach is because I'm like, can I just help people not be so mean anymore? Like that would be great.
Mm-hmm.
And There's my secret again agenda. My secret agenda as a relationship coach is so people stop being mean to each other. Um, but like for the most part, like individually, I do not have to worry about as much stuff as Lee does.
Yeah. Yeah. I kind
Yeah.
of scream at
Yeah.
people without screaming at people.
hmm
They would be surprised, shocked, fall to the floor if I said my husband.
Yeah. Be like, okay, you're lying.
Yeah, it would be. It would be very much all of that, right?
Mm.
And so, yeah, like I've never had anyone say, if I said something about a partner, if they were like, oh, where is he? Or something like that. Like, if anything, they're like, oh, your partner, are they? Like then
Mm.
that's a different story. Um, but like it's always they or her or she or whatever. Like they're just
Yeah.
like, well, here we go. We got us a gay. But yeah, I mean, so just for me and even like before I was as masculine presenting as I am now, right? Like, even when I first started dating as a teenager, I had my longer hair. I was still dressing pretty much very similarly to how I dress now. Maybe I was a little bit more, I had a little sprinkling more of femininity. And again, that's a stretch, but but there was a little bit more leeway in terms of like, it was like, oh, well, you're just like a tomboy, right? Like you have long hair and da, 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 da. And so people,
I saw
they
that
could,
super masked picture of you recently
wait,
with the your long hair and the backwards cap and the
yeah, I'm like,
baggy jeans
that's right.
and
They're
yeah,
like hoping, they're just holding on to any little glimmer of hope that they're like,
yeah,
what? Well, you're just,
yeah.
but even then, it's still like the thing that comes in being, an AFAB couple and everything is that, I mean, like for the thing that like stands out to me, first is like just the respect or lack thereof, that I have felt in different partnerships, that have all been, I've only dated women, thank God. I've only dated women and because of that, it's like people don't like respect the relationship as much as they would a straight relationship, because it's outside of the norm, right? And so it's not that serious. Oh, it's just a phase, or like, oh, you guys are, what do you mean you're moving in together? Like what? Like that's weird. Or even just like the respect of like literally holding hands and they're like, oh, your friend, and it's like,
Or kissing. Like literally
yeah.
we had posts online of us like kissing And then people are like, "Oh, you and your friend," and I'm like, "What are you talking
Yeah, like you would never like it's like if you
about?"
imagine like if it was a cis dude and a cis woman like kissing and then they would be like, "Oh my God, you guys are such a cute couple."
Right.
Like they wouldn't be like, "Oh wow, your friend." Like
What a
no,
close friend.
yeah, like no one would do that. And so it's just like even that and like, again, like how people have just like expressed how it's like, "Oh, well, it's not that serious." Like, it's not that serious of a relationship because
Mhm.
it's just between two women or present, however they see us. And even especially, I mean, I'm like, maybe I feel like they lost more respect now. In the
Do you
sense,
think so?
it kind of feels like that,
Mm.
honestly. Like, I do think I did have more respect when I was younger, when I did have, I gave them a glimmer of hope. Now I don't give them any glimmer of hope. And so it's like,
Yeah.
it's just kind of like where it's like, oh, it's not that serious. Or it's just like, not a good relationship.
Mhm.
Like whatever a good relationship
Yeah.
means.
Just like trying to like take away legitimacy and
Hmm.
even just by perception.
Yeah, and then this is something, that I mean, I know this from my friends who are also, also identify as lesbian or have been in, just AFAB couples situations. Like everyone's like, yeah, like it's like they're just like, oh, you guys are getting married.
Yeah.
Oh. That's so odd. Like, and it's just like, what? Or it's just like, that's literally my wife. Like, what? Like, what do you mean? Like, this isn't this? Like, if they question things or something of that nature. And that also comes down to how, because of that, and then say, you break up, people then are just like, well, it wasn't that serious. Like, they don't take the breakup experience that serious either. And so they're like, your experience of like the hurt and the pain and all the things that come up in a breakup, they're just like, well, wasn't really gonna last, like obviously. And so it's like it just like downplays your experience as a human being in a relationship and
Mhm.
being emotionally involved and all of that. So it's that is one thing that we will come across. And that's I mean I've come across that ever since I was a wee little gay dating out there in the world. It's definitely been present, like so. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think like one other like more specific concern that we've talked about is just like being out in public together, like what we
Yeah.
have to consider. And, even in Seattle, like we live in Seattle, which is a very gay friendly city. So
Hmm.
we certainly have a lot of privilege, even just living here for sure.
Yeah.
And it's still not like,
And I have still been called slurs and
yeah,
things,
like
or we've gotten looks and like,
yeah, there's it still doesn't like exclude, it's not the 100% safety
no, because it's just like
bubble,
that's not a thing because humans are all around.
right.
No matter where you are, there are humans.
Yeah, yeah. And we're also like not the couple that's going to hide that we're a couple in
Hmm.
public, even if people want to assume that we're friends, even if we're kissing in public. But like we do, we show, we show affection when we hold hands, we kiss each other on the cheek, we kiss each other on the mouth, like
Hmm.
we're like, flirty with each other. Like it is if we were a hetero couple, it would be very obvious that
Yeah.
we were dating,
Yeah.
right? And like that's something that we had to talk about
Hmm.
too. Like that was a conversation, and that's just not something that hetero couples have to do. Like hetero couples don't have to be like, sure, you can have like a PDA conversation of like, what are you comfortable with?
Yeah, but not
Like
like
more like a consent
yeah, like it's
conversation,
more of like,
like,
what are you
hey,
comfortable
yeah, like, hey, like, are you comfortable if I,
kiss
kiss
you?
you in public? Or are you comfortable? Like, I know that I've had this conversation like in dating men before where it's like going to a restaurant. Like, how comfortable are you like sitting on the same side of the booth or like holding hands or kissing or even making out in public, which I'm not really comfortable making out in public. That's not a thing for me. But I am really like affectionate stuff. But those are conversations that you have as a straight couple, but it's more about like what's your comfort level.
Yeah.
Whereas with a gay couple, it's like, how safe do we feel?
Yeah.
Like, how safe do you feel? Are you okay being out? And but what are if someone has a negative reaction, like verbally, like, are we going to respond to that? Are we just going to leave it alone? If someone has their negative reaction physically, what are we going to do?
Yep.
You
I'm
know?
like, yeah, if you identify as queer, you understand, like, it's like, oh yeah, this is conversation, like, and this is
Mhm.
also one of those things that I see for like new queers, newly awakened queers, um, that is kind of like shocking, of like having those kinds of conversations and just like the shift that you'll notice, like if say you're cis woman and you're like, oh yeah, I want to start exploring dating other women or non-binary folk or whatever. And then you go out and then you're like, wow, people are kind of treating me differently, or people are looking at or say things about whatever is happening, and it's just like one of those like, what, like this is odd. Like I've had this conversation with like female friends, right? Because they're gonna be seen with me. It's not even that we're dating, right?
Right.
But it's like I'm just like I just like like if they're like being affectionate to me in some way that it's like platonic, but it's like I'm like we need to talk about this, right? And because it's like, yeah, I've had plenty of female friends that have been assumed to then be my partner. It's like then they assume that they're my partner, but then my partner is actually my friend. Like it's weird. But I'm
Yeah,
just
what
like
is that? That's kind of funny. That's kind of a trip.
it's so interesting. Like I'm just like, what? But it is, it's just one of those conversations that you do need to have so that everyone's just on the same page as to like what are we comfortable with? What feels safe? And it's also one of those things that's kind of like I'm even thinking of like experiences where I just, was dating like weren't like, committed partners or anything like that, but like just started dating or whatever. And it's like it's just this like unspoken kind of rule, like when we're out and like maybe we're being a little close or whatever, like and we're like looking out for each other, right? Like it's kind of like that looks like a sketchy kind of street. Let's go. And like we're just kind of like
Yeah, we've rerouted.
yeah, like reroute. And I
Mhm.
think this especially for AFAB folks,
Right.
just in general, like you can think of it as like even if you're, cis woman, your friends, like you're very aware and cognizant of like your
Vigilant.
surroundings, yeah, and all those kinds of things.
It's like,
And then you add that into and now we're dating, so now we have the gay thing on top of that. Like
right.
it's kind of like you've been trained since you're AFAB, like
Yeah.
you've been trained to be
To be
vigilant.
vigilant. Yeah, like I remember like even working in bar, well, like, and I can speak, I have plenty of like personal stories as well. But also even just like when I used to work as a bartender,
Hmm.
and I would like watch, and see how people are interacting and watching as women are looking out for one another. Like I remember one instance in particular where this guy was like, hitting on this girl, like trying to buy her a drink or
Mm.
something like that or whatever. And her friend walked up, literally put herself physically in between them and was like, we're leaving now,
Hmm.
and like pulled her away. So I don't know what the exact situation was because like I just like I was
Yeah.
working in a club, so it like there's a lot happening, but like that was the part that I entered in
Yeah.
at. And so in my like being a woman, I like saw that scenario and I was like, clearly that guy was probably being creepy with that girl. Like if her friend literally put her body
Yeah.
in between the two of them and was like, we're leaving now. Like if
Right.
and like because if a woman is like getting that assertive, like they're getting serious creep vibes. Something has happened
Yeah.
to
If you're
to like
AFAB, you know it. Like
you know,
you would see a situation like that and be like, I'm so glad you have that friend. Like you
yeah.
wouldn't even question it.
No, and I didn't. I was like, that was my literal thought. My literal thought was like, thank God for that friend.
Yeah,
Like,
that's literally, like that's what you're thinking, right?
yeah.
And so it is, but that is so that's woven into the
Mhm.
AFAB coupledom
Mhm.
is that like you already have that training. And then you're like, oh, and also we also now kiss, right? So it's like,
Right.
oh God. So there is that added component that we do need to be aware
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
just yeah, just aware, alert, and of course not like every single time, but it's just like, okay,
Right.
and especially even when we go, like if we travel,
Mhm.
like that's another thing to consider. Like
That
that's
is
like that's a whole
also
separate,
another
especially
thing
if
to
you travel
consider,
to different countries and
depending on
certain
where you're
states.
traveling. Yeah.
I would be like, we need to have a conversation if we're going into like more like southern states and stuff. I'd be like, we need to have a conversation. Like, like, and if we travel to some country that where it's like it's illegal to be with in a same-sex relationship, because there's countries that's what
That's
it is,
illegal. Yeah.
right? And so it's like, okay, what do we like? Do we even want to? That sounds dangerous.
It's like maybe
And
we just don't go to that
yeah,
country.
maybe we just don't.
Yeah.
So
Which is really unfortunate because Istanbul is in Turkey, and apparently Istanbul is like really cool and like really fun.
but
But
yeah,
Turkey,
Turkey's
it's
a whole.
illegal to be
Yeah.
yeah, a couple.
So it's yeah, exactly. So it's like your environment, like you really have to pay attention. Or if we're like on a road trip and like we have a gas station in the middle of nowhere.
Which I have run into that problem multiple times with, and since I am the straight passing one,
Mm,
I am now the one to like I'm the more privileged one.
yeah,
And
no.
so I'm the one who goes to pump the gas, who goes to pay, who maybe my partner doesn't even get out to go to the restroom. Maybe literally like this has happened before. It's like
Yeah.
we're like, I don't think that it's safe for you to even get out here.
Uh-huh.
So maybe we'll get gas here and then we'll drive until there's a rest area, and maybe the rest area will be more safe than the gas station,
Yeah, no, it's so true. I'm
right?
like, I've done that just by myself, being like, I really have to pee. And it's like, this, nope, nope, we're just gonna hold.
Right. And not to say that it's safe for me in those situations. It's just more safe because I have that passing privilege,
Right,
right?
yeah.
Like,
And I get, I mean, because there's definitely like,
Mhm.
places where I'm like, if by myself, no. If I have my straight presenting partner around, I'm like, shield me, please. Like it gives enough where it's like, okay, we're not gonna say anything to you. Like it just that's where I'm like, okay, like we just gonna go to the bathroom here, don't mind me. But yeah, like it is, but it's just one of those things that you have to consider. And yeah, especially with travel and all that kind of stuff. Um, but one of the other things that comes that is a perk in my mind of being in AFAB. I mean, there's lots of perks, but
There's so many perks. There's
one
also
of
so many
the
perks.
perks
Yeah.
is that we get to go to the bathroom together. It's like you always have a bathroom buddy,
That's true. That
Like,
is
and
very
that is a
true.
rule of women, right? Like
Right.
every woman, every AFAB person knows this. It's like
Right.
you don't go to the bathroom by yourself, like
Yeah.
absolutely not. So it's like I always have a bathroom buddy,
Yeah.
you know?
That's also nice. Built-in bathroom buddy.
Yeah, like it really is. It's so great where you're just like, oh my God. Or like, and it also helps too, like if something's going on that's like, hey, we need like, I just like cut something or this or I need to help readjusting this or whatever. It's like you can go into the bathroom with them to help them. Like
Right.
I've done, that's been a thing that's come up in lots of my partnerships where it's like we just like what's going on? Regroup
Regroup
and
in the bathroom. Let's
yeah,
go.
regroup and then it helps, like because it's
Yeah.
like oh yeah, they're just okay, take care of all that stuff.
Right.
So yeah, that is a perk in my mind. So
Hmm.
yes, there are the cons and there are pros.
Absolutely. Yeah, well, and I think one thing too is the ability to have that all in mind and also like still enjoy your life.
Mhm.
Like I'm thinking of like times where we've gone to different like events like the what was it? Princess Bride
Oh,
Symphony
the
pageant.
symphony.
Yeah. Just like being at that event and just being like, kind of like vigilant, like looking around, but I mean, and also I feel a little bit more safe at theater events because, theater people and queerness is just kind of goes
Yeah.
together.
Well, yeah, it's just different places. Like
But
you
like
turn up the
different,
dial, you turn it down,
right.
right?
And some of like our best experiences, I think, have been at the opera
Mhm. Yeah.
for sure. 1000%. That guy that complimented
Yeah.
me. Oh
Oh
my
yeah, we
God.
talked about it on one of
Yeah, we've talked about that before. That was so great. So there are like, some places where it's like you don't yeah, you can turn down the dial, right?
yeah.
And then also there's some places where like we gave the example of road trips and not feeling safe, but like some places, yeah, where you have to turn up the dial. And then there's some places where it's kind of like mid, where
Yeah.
it's like, and that can be like family situations, possibly, where it's just like, okay, like I know the people in my family who are cool. And I know the people in my family that I'm just like, I do not want to know what you're thinking right now. And I don't want to do anything to provoke any thoughts from your face. And just like things like that. So again, just being able to like turn up, and I'm not just saying that about like my family, but like my partner's families in the past and stuff like that. It's just like what is gonna come out of this person's mouth and how are we gonna navigate
Mhm.
that. And so yeah, so just like different situations that you have to be that you have to feel differently
Yeah.
about or field. But like I think again, I think my point inside of that is that I still try to caution towards always having fun, and just like not letting things like that like ruin something, like to the extent to which you can, like not overlooking things to your own detriment, but like being able to stay in the mindset of like we're here to have a good time.
Yeah,
Like
no,
other people are
it's
gonna do whatever they're gonna do. We're gonna navigate that together, but like we're here to have a good time. And like, kind of in the vein of like hoping for the best, preparing for the worst.
yeah, and I think that just,
Yeah.
because I mean, I keep that in mind, and it's I think it just depends on each person's like individual experience of this,
Sure.
right? Because it's like, yeah, there have been plenty of instances, whether I'm with a partner or not, that have, been things said to me or people getting really close in a threatening way. And so it's like that comes up to me where I'm like, okay, we're here to have fun, right? Like, okay, that person did this thing, but like, let's just kind of, so it just like, okay, that's a little bit more for me to kind of navigate, right?
Yeah.
But you still, still coming back to like, yeah, like, but I want to be able to experience, fun, joy, all those things,
Yeah.
regardless. But it's just like, what comes up for you is based off of your own experience, just like everything, right? Like it's just like we all
Right.
carry our own experience, and so, it tends to be the like more queer presenting stereotype kind of person that may be like a little like we gotta go, like just because maybe you've had some experiences that are not great. So yeah, but it is just keeping that like where it's like no, coming back to like I I deserve to be out in the world, which another perk of being a fab couple in my mind is like that we get to be seen. And like I always just think of the wee baby gays that don't even know they're gay yet. But
Yeah.
all the little kids, and it's not even the wee baby gays, like all kids, just
Just
like
to be normal,
yeah,
like
just
to
being
see,
able to see
yeah.
options and
Yeah.
possibilities, and just because it's also, which is another perk, is that you get like you're not going off of the scripts of relationships because there is no dude here. Not like it's like there's no guy, so it's not like okay, the man does this, the woman does this, right? And so like we get to be creative with our relationships, and so it's also like little ones seeing us. It's like oh, it's not just this of what they see at home, in their very whatever traditional hetero kind of home style, home life. That's not the only thing that's possible, right? And so it just like it
Mm-hmm.
just opens up possibilities for them. And also just being like, yeah, it's normal. So that we don't have to keep doing all of this where it's like that's not normal, right? Like hopefully every
Yeah.
little kid seeing this and it's like every generation is like, yeah, for sure, the gays, they're over there doing their thing.
Yeah.
Standing over there on the corner holding hands,
Yeah.
like it doesn't phase them, right? And I
Yeah,
think that's
yeah,
really important. And that's, that's what's important, invisibility,
right.
which is
Visibility, representation, it's all important because then when you're younger, you see yourself. And like I remember the first time that I um uh learned about like bisexuality, I was just like, oh fuck yeah, that's awesome. That's amazing.
yeah.
I'm just like that like blows my mind in like such an amazing way. 'Cause like I'd only ever heard of like either just being gay or like being lesbian,
Mhm.
And so like even just like learning more about other people's experiences, I think can be so beautiful instead of scary.
Mhm.
It doesn't have to be just because there's more types of people in the world doesn't like it seems so obvious to me, but it's like there just because there's other types of people in the world, it doesn't have to be scary or threatening. Like other types of people in the world means like cool, like fun, like variety, like more to get curious about and like different ways to know people and you know,
Yeah. No.
yeah.
That is exactly what is being
Mhm.
opened up,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
another
Totally.
perk that comes.
There you go. Beautiful. Anything else that you want to share?
I love being gay.
Me too. I also love being
Even with
gay.
all the challenge, like, I mean, it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, all the challenges. I go every single day, I'm thinking about all this stuff, no matter where I'm going, of like, is this cool? Da, da, da. Yes, I have that in the background, but it's also like, you know what? I get to be myself. Like, I get to just express myself. And if some person says something to me, I'll be like, all right, well, that was rude. But again, it's just like,
Mhm.
yeah, but I'm not gonna trade it for just, holding myself back and all of that.
Mhm.
Because that is a lot more hurtful to me than someone else's words towards me, right? And
Right.
so yeah, like it's just, yes, there's these things that we consider, but then it's, yeah, I can think of way more perks and pros to the situation because
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, this is what's genuine for us.
Yeah. Like you get to be totally and fully authentically you. What's better than that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And like
Yeah.
make your relationship that you want and
Yeah.
not have to be like, oh, I gotta do it this way because that's what you gotta do. I'm like, I literally can't do it the way you're telling me to do it because we don't have the ingredients,
Right.
So it's like, well, all right, I get to go make it my own. So yeah.
Beautiful. Great. Well, I love you all too. Keep being gay.
Be gay, do crime.
Keeping you. Keeping you. Be more and more you all the time. What a great goal.
What a great goal.
Just be more and more me all the time.
Rate, review, subscribe, give us 5 stars. It's the only option, actually. They gave you all those stars. Don't you want to see all those stars filled up?
It's very satisfying.
Don't leave a little star lonely like that. 5 stars. Fill them up.
Oh my God. I love you so much.
And also I love you.
That's great.
We love getting comments and
Yeah.
feedback
Yeah.
and
It's
and
always
requests too and everything. So let us
all of it.
know what works and what you want.
All of it. All of it.
We love you.
Love you.
Goodbye.
Bye.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Queer Love Podcast. We would love to hear from you. Drop us a line on TikTok, Instagram, or Twitter at Queer Love Relationships or email us at queerloverelationships@gmail.com.
If you are interested in working with us, follow the Linktree link in the show notes. See if our offers resonate with you. And if they do, sign up with us or book a discovery session.
We are so grateful that you're here, listening, learning, and growing with us.
Until next time, keep loving.